Well, hello again, my hospitality friends. Dave here from Barmetrics, and I'm excited today to talk to you about craft on draft. So, craft beer is all the rage, and if you have draft beer, there's a massive likelihood that you have craft beer on your lines. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about a cautionary tale of something I discovered with a client, and then 4 really important tips on not losing your shirt in your craft beer program. So let's get started, okay? So the story. Several weeks ago, we were doing an audit at a client. Rock solid venue, multiple venues, multiple concepts. They do really, really well. A lot of accountability in their alcohol program. Proud of those guys. And so we came in and we were having a conversation when we got in there about this new beer that they brought on that was all the rage. It was a strawberry milkshake IPA. So the creativity of people brewing this stuff never ceases to amaze me. But they had this thing and it's selling like wildfire. It's all the rage. You know, they're like, you got to try it. And it's like, it sounds great. So we start digging into the numbers a little bit, and I'm looking at the invoice, and this particular half barrel was a $299.99 half barrel. So not inexpensive. So I went and I talked to the team and made sure that we were serving that in a tulip, in which we were, which was an 11-ounce glass and a 10-ounce pour. And then also checked on the price point, which was correct. So we had the pricing right, and we had the vessel was correct. So all systems go. This thing's looking good. No cause for concern whatsoever. We then, of course, weighed the keg, got the number back on the keg weight, which was 30%. And it hadn't been hooked up that long, so for it to be drawn all the way down to 30% was a good sign. Initially, I thought, it is selling really well. That's awesome. And then we pulled the sales file. Right? So now we get into our lesson. So we pull the sales file to find out that we sold 50 units. So let's do some quick math. Don't leave me, because I'm going to nerd out for just like 30 seconds or so. So a typical half barrel, if you don't have systems or software in place and you're not measuring this stuff, this is a way that you can sort of do this manually. Your typical half barrel has 1,984 ounces in it. Okay, so this is a real simple conversion because it's a 10-ounce pour. So that means we should get 198 units out of this particular keg on this particular product, 198. Now, there's going to be a little bit in the lines because it's a new keg and there's a little bit in the run. So we allocate 10 units to the run. It could be a little more or less than that, but fair play, 10 units. So we should expect reasonably to get 188 units out of that keg. We were at 30%, which means we had roughly 60 units left in that keg. You staying with me? So we had 188 that we could have sold. We sold 50, which means we should have 138 units left over. Someone can check my math. If I'm wrong, I'm not that far off. We should have 138 units left over, and we have roughly 60 units left over. So we're missing 78 units. Now we're missing 78 units. What happened? How does this happen? Well, let me tell you. Here we go. 4 things. First thing is we got sampled to death. So yes, in fact, there was a lot of activity on this keg. We were talking about it. People found it interesting and it tasted good and everyone wanted to try it, but they weren't buying it. So the first thing that I want you guys to do when you're introducing new craft beers into your draft program is to create a sample key in your POS system. Not a modifier, because modifiers can't be tracked. Modifiers are generic keys. Afterwards, you pull out a product mix and all you see is modifiers in a bulk dollar amount. Doesn't attach to anything. So modifiers, no good. So we want to create a specific key. In this case, we would say sample strawberry milkshake. And every time we hit that key, we assign a volume amount to that, 1 or 2 ounces. So that's number 1. Number 2, what do we do with that information? What we do is we track conversion rates. How many samples did we sell and how many pints did we sell? So in this scenario, we went through hundreds of samples to sell 50 units, in this case, not a pint, a tulip, so units. So we processed hundreds of samples to sell 50 units. Now, do we like that conversion rate? Maybe, maybe not. So those are other things. You have to have targets and range. There's going to be trends in the business that'll tell you for your venue what a good conversion rate looks like. Obviously, the closer to 100% conversion rate we get, good. In this case, we're down 20%, 30% conversion rate. It's a big investment for that kind of conversion rate, right? Number three is, this is the third tip, number three is consider that initial hit. You need to be aware of that initial hit when you determine how long you're going to put these products on your menu. So when we do something like this and we only have 1 or 2 kegs, we take a massive cost of goods hit, right? We're going to make a serious impact to the negative on our margins on the draft program. Are you okay with that? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. The most important thing is that you understand it and then make a decision from an educated perspective, from a data-driven perspective on whether or not this is working in your program. So what we had was, in this case, we had a ton of activity. And we were really excited about the activity this was generating. In our minds, this activity was converting to sales, and it wasn't. It was just converting to activity. So keep that in mind. Number 4 is, if you don't like the way 1 through 3 sounds, we go to option 4, which is we don't do samples. We get our team so read in on our products that they're able to describe products, draft and otherwise. We want people to be able to describe our products in such a way that people can taste it. We don't necessarily do samples on cocktails. We don't have to do samples on draft beer, but we devalue draft beer because we don't know what the costs are typically. That was on the previous video we talked about. People will get you to a draft. If you're an owner, your team will get the draft numbers to a number that you're happy with, but can't verify. And this is a way that we can verify how the craft program is working. And in this case, if the bartender can say to a guest, hey, look, here's the deal. We have this new product in. Let me tell you about it. It's a strawberry milkshake IPA. If you like strawberry milkshakes and if you like IPAs, you're going to love this product, right? It's a winner. And then if for some reason people hate it, they want a refund, send it back, we can deal with that on a one-off basis at a much lower cost point than giving out hundreds of samples, right? So there's a trade-off that happens there, and I would be more likely to take option 2. Give me what's behind door number 2, please. So that's the insights on craft on draft. It's a cautionary tale, folks, but this is happening every day, all over the place. So let's review. Number 1, create a draft sample key for your new crafts. Draft, craft, sample key. 2, all right, measure your conversion rates. 3, keep it on long enough to realize a return. 4, if we don't like 1 through 3, our new option number 1 becomes don't do samples and be able to describe your product in a way that people can taste it. So that's it. That's all. If you like us, do me a favor, subscribe, follow, whether you're watching this on Facebook, follow and like. If it's on YouTube, subscribe and follow. We appreciate that. And thanks for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Take care, my friends.